Welcome everybody to the Resilient Minds podcast. I'm excited and I'm pumped because we have amazing lady here today with us. A dear friend of mine that really spent a lot of time with me when I lived in Australia. Even before that, when we were like Tony Robbins, front row, going all out, really deeply connected lady, Natalie Robson. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Very kind. And thank you for welcoming me on your podcast.
Thank you. Honestly, it's been a long time coming. For those that don't know you, I really want them to understand the depth and the caliber of, the work that you're doing, really associated into the oneness movement. You're leading these movements across Australia. You're working hand in hand with Sri Pritha Ji and Sri Krishna Ji, really serving the humanity whole, of really bringing this path of enlightenment to even more people. And I'm so fascinated because you consistently devote yourself to this path. You really connected me to oneness in India when I went there, to Anandagiri and Sri Pritha Ji and Sri Krishna Ji. So this was really a huge part of me going there. You were a huge part of that. So I just want to say thank you
Hmm.
for allowing me the gift of stepping up even more, to discovering, I was always curious. I'm this big kid, this huge kid, and I just never was able to distinguish things in the past. And the more that I came to this and the more time that we spent together. So I'm really excited to have you on the show today so people can understand, your journey, understand your wisdom, and understand what you're consistently choosing to operate from this beautiful state. So thank you again.
Thank you, Eric.
Tell
So,
me about, go ahead. Sorry, my apologies.
no
Please.
problem. Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have a question? Yes.
I was gonna just ask, I always, the first thing that I say is our experiences uh, on this podcast. I always ask everybody, our experiences, they contribute to our why, our big purpose. And I'm interested in knowing, what is it that got you to this depth? Or what is it that is the specific kind of turning point that said, I need to step up, or I need to go deeper, or I want to discover more parts of myself? What was it in this experience of yours that gave you that aha moment, let's call it?
Hmm. So it first of all started off that I'd got to a stage of my life where I felt successful from society's description of what a successful person would be. And I got there and I was like, is this all there is? It did not light me up. And I was searching inside. And that's when I started the work with the oneness movement. But it was not until there was a lot of challenges that landed on my lap at one time that it forced me to look at myself. I felt like most of my life, the challenges had, nicely spread out over time. But this was unlike any other. I was in complete overwhelm, which was unusual for me. Coming from a background of property development and real estate, things are always shifting. There's always chaos. They're always changing. It's highly vulnerable markets that you enter into. Things change very quickly. But this was on a completely different level. And then the way I was experiencing life was not good. I used to be more joyful and bubbly. I was in a state of suffering because my fear and anxiety that had always been within me rose and it got too much. And I'll never forget that I would like, to be honest, this is not something I'd usually share, but I was desperate.
Mm.
I felt desperate because I did not know what to do. And then I went to Abu Dhabi with Sri Krishnaji and Sri Prithaji on a enlightened bliss journey. And they moved me within 2 days from what I would say is my worst experience of living on this planet to the second most incredible experience I've ever had on this planet. And in seeing and experiencing that, and then the integration and the teachings and how that then impacted my life, I was never, ever to go back. I felt that I now am starting to understand life and the illusion that the mind creates, the gap in reality. At that time, when I was in stressful, suffering states, I was blaming the outside world for why all these situations had occurred. And this is why I feel this way. And I could see then the truth, which is this has always been inside of me. And these added experience of chaotic events had created a much more distorted, fearful, anxious Natalie. And then even the practices they call sadhanas in India of meditations allowed me that then when challenges arose, I could dissolve the stress and have far more clarity to get through them. I used to tackle challenges with stress. It doesn't work. It is exhausting. And that's where I had got myself to. So it took myself going down to a rabbit hole, which was very uncomfortable, then to seeing the truth and knowing how important this is in my life, and then seeing in everybody else's lives how most of the time we respond from stressful states and it's not needed. It does not fuel us. I used to use suffering and stress to achieve. No, it is far easier in a beautiful state. And the magic that occurs without that effort is just incredible. So it's like someone showed me, Natalie, you were seeking the truth of life and all there is. And the reason you felt it was hard is because you did not understand. And now we've shown you the way to move through life. Life is not without challenges. We all have challenges in life, but it's how we deal. Which state are we operating in that moment? Are we in a beautiful state or a non-suffering state, or are we in a stressful, suffering state? So to be present in the moment allows clarity, calm, and solutions.
Calm and connected, and uh, that feeling, it goes back to so much of realizing that we've always been, at least for me, that we've always been enough. We've always been worthy. We've always been capable. And I think, in my experience, the mind had made me seek consistently, I mean, around the planet almost 3 times, uh, this outside of me. I feel for the first time that from since that beautiful picture of us in front row at Tony Robbins in UPW, for the first time in my life, for the last year, I'm grounded as I've ever been. And I feel more calm, more connected, and more creative. And this is something that I realize that it's like constantly needing to find something to build outside of me. And then what I realized, at least for me, I just needed to have like the knowing that I could figure it out and trusting that it's coming through me in whatever I want to make happen and choosing to do it. Because one of the things that I've discovered is intelligence is not to just see things, it's to see things as they are, not worse than they are.
Better.
And then if we want to make it better and be willing to take the actions to create it. So this is something that I love that you talk about the beautiful state and also with such peace and tranquility of where you're at. How does that affected, your little boy or your family and why is this important for our next generation?
You hit the spot there. So I'm fortunate enough to see two sides where how he was when my state was stressful and how that impacted him was hard to see. However, now it is so beautiful to see that transformation. And he is such a beautiful, kind, warm, loving boy. And he is so himself. And the importance of my state. He's a mirror. And this is the most beautiful gift, to have a child and then being able to share your state with them and see them blossom and flower to their sovereign being and let them know it's okay to be exactly who you are. Because I see schools and society and parents, unfortunately, a lot of us are not there for their children. And it's the biggest gift. And it stops. I see my job is changing that moving forwards for generations. And what other than, living, why else am I on this planet? I mean, what a gift. And to know that the work I do helps him is, yeah, it's so important, for everyone to do their inward journey, to become conscious, become aware, and love our beautiful beings, our future generations for who they are, not the framework of what society says they're meant to be because it's not realistic whatsoever.
Thank you for saying this. And the other day I saw a picture, and this picture was like a mom. She was wearing this like starry dress, and a little boy holding her hand, and they're walking down the beach, and he says, "Mom, what's the meaning of life?" And her answer with like on her dress it said universe, and her answer, you. And I literally felt this with such depth because it was just so profound because that picture at a human level makes me totally feel the connection to my parents and that expression, that connection, that profoundness, that love, that care, that consistency in every kind of journey that I went on around the world. And then on a spirit level, because I've been around the world so many times, I was always held by angels like yourself everywhere I went to say, "Hey, it's okay. I got you. I got you. Like you're okay here. You're okay here." It didn't matter, and I could feel that so deeply because I was always nurtured, always supported, always like it would always figure itself out. And it's so beautiful to like discover that because there's no fear whatsoever anymore. It really allowed me to discover that I'm just this huge boy, this huge big kid, and and I'm a grown man now. I'm still in the eyes of our beloved teacher, creator, God, universe. I'm still just a boy. It doesn't matter how old we are, you know?
There's one thing I've always taken with me all my life, to never lose the playfulness and the fun and the joy of the journey of life. I think we all get a bit too serious when we become adults.
Yeah.
We smile less, we laugh less. I love having fun and being playful, and I feel it's a blessing to be able to truly live in that space.
And that was one of the things that I really noticed, you know, with Hudson. He really, really loves and adores your presence.
He allows mummy to be mummy, and I allow Hudson to be Hudson. And it's the most beautiful experience of sharing with another.
Why do you think this is important for more of us to discover these types of deeper connections with our selves, our family members, our employees or employers, our communities, our organization? Why do you think that this might be something that could be of tremendous value for uh, cultured organizational behavior or impact to make more monetary benefit to the economy? Like, why could why?
Right. I feel in a way that when we take control and try to fix how things should be, we're restricting what could be. So, yes, we need structure, we need organization within a business. However, to be able to be in a beautiful state and allow what is meant to occur to happen. Whenever I've tried to fix and restrict. That's the way I honestly see it. Restrict what may happen and get too attached to the outcome.
Mm.
Generally, we go into stressful states, which is less abundant. For true abundance and for wealth to flow through the door, we want to be attracting that. And there's no team that works together that's in stressful states. So to do the internal work for leaders, to show, to walk the path, because when they're impacted, it's just a ripple effect.
Mhm.
It impacts every single person. So the operations side, the equity side, the harmony side of the business all flourish because there's love, there's joy, there's grace within that space, not fear and anger. That does not create abundance. And even if it does, it's limited to what it could be. So for the leaders to do the work and walk the path is the most important part of creating a magnificent business. We can all have ordinary or mediocre, but I'm talking extraordinary, something on a whole different level where it impacts everybody and everybody, the oneness gets what they need. We're all inclusive. Nobody is separate. And as soon as that happens, there's where the gaps starting occur. And those gaps do not promote growth or abundance.
What do you think needs to shift? Or what could go even better?
Mhm. To shift within leaders or within businesses, or what would you?
Uh, let's start with leaders.
It is, yeah.
Let's start with them, yeah.
Okay. So for me, vulnerability is to be courageous. We're all promoting that we're perfect human beings. And a lot of us do not want to share our imperfections. And to normalize being human and also sharing is strength of to go through the inward journey and to explain to others, it's okay. I'm not perfect either. This is me. This is who I am. And with that, allows people to more to be who they are, but without taking the inward journey and actually doing the work and being brave enough to see what arises. That's only when we have the awareness can we dissolve those challenges, those beliefs that we have within us. And that only then empowers us to be a true leader of what is truly real, not a facade of, I'm Natalie, I run this business, I've done this, this, and this, and this. And mostly it's because of me, but I'm going to pretend it's about you too. The ego starts dissolving. And with that, then comes the connection. And with the connection becomes power.
That's such a profound distinction. And that can only be done with action. It can only be done with going deep inside enough to choose to take the steps to go there's no way you can because at least and I think I mean I know that you're also can see we can see it from a mile away. Like we've got the bullshit meter, years, right? So it's beautiful to really just choose choose.
I feel your joy. Yeah.
Uh, Life is really special, and I genuinely I'm curious, where you're thinking of taking Ananda, your space now, and how it's been an impact in your now choice to also pass this on to great leaders or business owners that come to your space at Ananda, at your beautiful wellness center.
Yeah, so Ananda, the creation was built purely from my own transformation and the gratitude within from what I have been through to where I got and how I just wish to share that with the world. The space is like I've created a sacred space for people to come in, to be held, to be nurtured, for wisdom to be shared, processes, meditations to be taught. And for those of you who don't know the space, there's no neighbors. I see that I share this land with the animals. Even the kangaroos come up on the balcony. That's how there is no separation or division there. If they could come in the house, they'd come in the house. They've tried.
Yeah, I was there.
So, yeah, the vision is to assist others on a path not too dissimilar to mine, to assist leaders, to assist those who may be in stressful situations and allow them to navigate and experience life and do what they do from far more calm, from far more ease and clarity, and make impact. And when they live life from more of a beautiful state, those leaders impact everyone around them. And together, we all make this world a far more beautiful place. And now is the time. We are so ready for change. And to let people in and just to love and hold, no matter what you've been through. It's all okay. We are together. And there is a better way of living, a far more better experience of life. And life does not have to be the way you're experiencing it now, even though it seems so real. So when I reflect back, I look at my mind, and my mind's not my enemy, but I need to be aware of what's the inner thought noise, what's really occurring. And the power of that is incredible when you actually start to see it, because it just improves your life every time you dissolve the illusion that the mind puts in your way.
Do you feel that when the mind is used as like I always say that the mind is like my servant. Uh, like I would say like, oh, I'm gonna use you as my servant, and we're gonna make this happen. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna make this happen. And then I just make it happen. And then it just becomes reality. So it's like my heart is it doesn't matter. My heart is guiding the way. So
Yeah.
what are ways that people could integrate with such speed. If anybody was on here and just like, wow, these guys are, I don't get it. Yeah. I don't get it. What would it look like for someone to really let go a little bit more of the mind and tap more into the coherence, or even just to breathe, or anything that you would like to share to get them into this deeper space of coherence?
Well, we live most of the time in our beta brainwave state, our monkey mind, where things are jumping like monkeys through the jungle, pretty chaotically. So to do practices, like for example, every morning I do soul sync. And soul sync is created by Shri to allow, there's the second step is you create a humming noise, which moves nitric oxide up into the brain and calms the brain down. And over time, new neural connections will form in the brain. So to start with something like that daily, you will notice the difference. And at the end of that particular meditation, there's a manifestation. So an intent for what's coming. And when you actually sit in that space, it's amazing to see what can occur when you're in a beautiful state requesting this of the universe. That to actually experience and just try, if someone was at home, that's what I would recommend by start doing. But to have a whole journey, it's not one part. So just meditation by itself over time will assist. But that's why with Shri and Shri Krishnaji, they have a way of bringing everything together, whether it be processes, whether it be wisdom, meditations, bringing everyone together in the room that allows transformation. When you take a part out, it's just going to make your journey longer. And yeah, we're only on this planet for so long. So it's important, really, to be honest, to actually go on a journey. You can start to have different experiences through meditations, but without actually going on deep dive at a journey, you're not really going to go, if you're a seeker and you're wanting to get more out of life and transform, is at those steps that you need to go.
For me, it was like, well, for me, it was literally death.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
And it's crazy because even when we went to Portugal after I went free diving, I think I told you this. Went free diving and I blacked out at like 30 meters. Uh, and the guy had to bring me to the top, and I don't remember anything. I just remember opening my eyes. And uh, at that point, I knew that I was not meant to go because I went there to face my fear of drowning. And I pushed myself on purpose because I was still, what's the point? You know, what if I'm here? Like, what's the point? You know, because I was at that point, uh, well, you know this, I was still figuring out like, how am I going to integrate this now that I know what's the point? What's the point? Like, what's the point? Like, if it, so I needed to face that fear, because I felt like that was part of the. And then when I blacked out, I said, okay, well, now I get you. Okay, now I understand.
Mm.
And that really took me into a place where you're really taking care of every specific step. Great teacher. And it just gave me so much. It was like like I just knew that it didn't matter what I decide, what I commit to, if I go all in, I'm covered. I'm taken care of.
Mm.
And uh, it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I do remember you sharing that experience, and yeah, courageous at the same time, letting go.
Yeah, it's it's nice to be able to also share it with somebody that hears it though, because um at least for me, I'm a rare cat, and it's nice to be able to have really encouraging and expressive and enhancing and growing conversations. Uh, and I know that they're all growing, except I want to grow even more. And I know that when we meet a mirror that also has done their own work, it allows the consciousness of both of us to grow faster, you know? And that to me becomes exciting because it's like, what else is the point of life, right? Like, I'm just fine.
Tell me more.
Yeah, great conversation is I think the best thing. It's like it's true unconditional connection because it's speaking to source intelligence.
No I. Consciousness. Mm.
Exactly. Exactly. When's the next experience to India? Did you when's the next are you going back to Satva? Are you going back to Ekam?
So
What's
actually looking at going to the Nordic Center in Sweden.
okay.
Yeah, so I haven't been yet, so I'm very excited. And Shri has a 6-day event called Nirvana, and there's going to be, it's a small room. She's definitely in the most incredible space at the moment. I just was there with her a couple of days ago at Broad Beach, and I could not go to Nirvana. It's the path, it's the journey, it's the calling, and seeing someone who's mastered that way of life and to learn, like Tony says, always seek out the best, and learn from them. And I feel I see the way she experiences life and her power and her field and the transformation that occurs in that space takes me deeper and then allows me to assist more people. So it's just, yeah, that's to answer your question, the Nordic Center in Sweden. Or
Well,
Nevada.
I really love that you've built a really deep relationship with her, and it's important because I think the relationship is really where the transition happens, you know, when it's no longer a transaction, it's a relation. And, I realize after so many years in business and so many years wanting to do business like good, that it really is about this golden rule: do to others as you would like to have done unto yourself. It's about giving more than we would ever expect to receive. It doesn't mean that there's no measurement. It doesn't mean that we don't have the ability to make money. What it means is that we value ourselves at such a deep level that we know what we're capable of, and that relationship is what binds us. And I think that the biggest distinction sorry, I thought I lost you. The biggest distinction that I've had is being congruent with those types of partners, those types of leaders, because it's a different playing field. it's a different game. It's a different understanding. And the conversation is about creation. It's totally different.
Yeah, and for me, it's the passion is to create impact in the world. And I do not see any other way, like as you explained, I'm passionate about this work because I know I tried so many different things and it didn't work. But I can truly see how this has changed my life, the people that do the other journeys around the world. It's like every single person deserves to move out of stress. It's not natural. And what better gift can you give someone to have a better life? Not money, not items, not ideals, a beautiful inner state. That's why I'm on that journey with Shuprataji.
The Nordique Center, I just had some or a friend of mine, they just had pictures that sent it to me too just recently. It was a beautiful place. It's like a temple.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
and an ex-Buddhist monastery. Yeah. So
yeah.
yes. I haven't been, but I've seen photos and it looks incredible. And apparently, yeah, beautiful forests surrounding it and lovely energy.
I love it. The food dogs are there and everything. It's so beautiful because the ancient connection, right? Like
Mm.
I love this. It's everything is meaningful for a reason, and I love being able to observe this interconnection. How we can now start to recognize them. Like, wow, this is cool. Um, Nat, if people want to know more about you, know more about Ananda Wellness Sanctuary, where's the best way they can connect with you? Kind of if they wanted to work with you directly and do some deeper work with you to really go inside. Where can they find you or connect with you to kind of like yeah, reach out?
Reach out. Yeah. So it's Ananda, Ananda, Wellness Sanctuary.com.au. We'll have the courses information, all my details, and the contact details. So yeah, just reach out. Love to connect to anyone who may be listening on this podcast and answer any questions. Also, that if you have questions on a bit more to go deeper on what the course is about and what I do. So yeah, I would love.
If you had 3 days left to live, what would you do? Last question.
I would just be present. Like it's for me, there's nothing about doing anything else other than to be in this present moment. Because when you are present, that's all there is. You don't need anything. So just to be in that space. Yes, Hudson would be there and family and friends, and just allowing being because in my earlier years of this journey, I was in rush. An achiever in rush who was that far in front. And I thought that's what was fueling me to be successful because I could just get things done and I could rush through them. And I have never felt so successful in just being in silence with myself and not even moving. And I look at the difference for where I was to where I am now. It's worlds apart. But also the experience is absolutely worlds apart. So just to be. No.
I love you so much. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for your time and energy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And love you too. And look forward to many beautiful things ahead.